welcome to CEAZOR Snack Sandwich. Today we're taking a look at VADER and APHRA. Now VADER I've covered in the past, so I kind of explained what this does already, but there are some improvements, like a little more live than last time I did the video. You can now burn and you can now mint some VADER or burn VADER to mint USDV, and you can supply to Curve to get some incentives and put them into Earn here and gain these incentives. However, they've also partnered with this new protocol called APHRA, and I'm going to explain to you what APHRA does as well, kind of. Now, APHRA's purpose is to try to help protocols to maintain their peg. So this is a stable coin, right? USDV is a stable coin, and it needs arbitrage to maintain the peg. Now, usually this arbitrage is performed by like anon bots, basically, which is important, and they need to be there. However, APHRA is going to try to do it for them. And in order to do it for them, they need large amounts of liquidity, and then they need people to put liquidity there, and they need to incentivize them to do so. So that's what this protocol is going to do. If you have used VADER in the past, then I would suggest you to come to APHRA, and you can try to claim your airdrop here. If you've used VADER or Beans or FX as stakers, all things I've made videos on in the past. You can search my channel to find out what these guys do. But if you've ever had any of these, you can come here and claim some airdrop for yourself. Now these are locked tokens. They are going to give you an NFT. You won't be able to claim these and sell these today. But they will be claimable forever. So you can decide if you want to claim them in the future at some time. So I'm going to use a flowchart to explain to you not basically how this works, because I've already explained that to you, but more about like what are the options for users now with these two protocols, which is pretty interesting. So let's swing over to the flowchart and do it. So here we have this little spaceman. Let's call him, I guess, Anakin. And Anakin has these VADER tokens, but Anakin hates VADER. He doesn't like VADER. So what's he going to do with VADER? He wants stable coins. So he goes to VADER protocol and he burns the VADER tokens to get some USDV. Okay. Now he will get the same US dollar value minus the small burning fee of 0.06. Now this number will fluctuate, but it's pretty low now. So you can burn these VADER tokens and get some USDV in his wallet. Now he has a stable coin worth like the same value as the VADER tokens that he had. Now what can he do with USDV? Well, the first thing he can do is he can supply to Curve and get back a USDV 3-pool token. And then he can supply that 3-pool token to VADER, the VADER earn, and earn about 67% in VADER tokens. So then he can just do this over and over and over. Every week he can claim his VADER, burn those VADER for more USDV, and then add them to this VADER protocol, which is pretty interesting, okay? Now, this is pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but there are some other options, like I told you, APHRA. So what's APHRA going to do? So what he could do is he could take the VADER, instead of putting it, the USDV, instead of putting it into Curve, he could send it to the APHRA vault. And in return for that, he's going to get back an AV USDV. It's a vault share token of his portion of this holdings, right, at APHRA Finance in the vault. Alternatively, he could supply that USDV to Curve, get this 3-pool USDV token, and instead of supplying it for these VADER, he could supply that to APHRA and get back AV USDV 3 CRV, which is basically this token. AV is a vault token, right? So that would pretty much cover him. Now, what is he going to do with these AV tokens? Is he can stake those into APHRA Finance to gain APHRA tokens. Now, the APY on this does not show on the website, and it's a little confusing. You have to read through the docs to figure out how is it going to work. It's not exactly transparent. Like, well, it's there. You just got to read it, and I'm not gonna. There's no numbers though. You'll see if you decide to dig deeper on how much this APY is. So that's pretty much the options that Anakin here has to deal with these USDV tokens, right? But how about this other guy? Now we have this other little guy, Yoda, and Yoda loves VADER. VADER's his favorite, right? So what does he do is he sticks VADER into the VADER protocol, his VADER tokens into the VADER protocol, and he gets X VADER in return. Now, X VADER currently is about an APY of 5.2%, just more and more VADER compounding inside. So now he's happy with his X VADER tokens, right? Alternatively, is he could send that VADER to the APHRA vault, right? And get AV VADER, right? And then he has AV VADER in his wallet. And you've guessed it, he can send either of these two to the APHRA minter and get the APHRA token. Okay, so these are the options for the lover of VADER, and you could be maybe both of them and do some of this and some of that. You don't have to choose one side or the other. You don't have to join the dark side or the Jedi. It's up to you. Now, what is all of this all about? Basically, like I said before, this APHRA vault needs a lot of liquidity so that it can interact with this burn and mint mechanism, and it can interact with this 3 pool token in order to keep this USDV on peg. And by having all of the working parts, all the moving parts inside this vault, they can do it quite easily. So that's pretty much the model. That's what they're planning to do, and that's what they're building, and that's what's coming out. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.